To another coach that is no longer in the same place that he had been for a very long time, a guy that built a culture and has built a brand and built a name, not only at the college level, but at the NFL. Pete Carroll out as Seattle Seahawks head coach. That's how it was reported originally.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Pete Carroll out as head coach of the Seahawks. It's like, whoa, 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 what does that mean? Then it's like he'll be an advisor. We're like, oh, this is the Brad Stevens situation for the Celtics, where you basically say, hey, coach, do you want to potentially do this other role as the president of the team as opposed to coach? And Brad Stevens is like, yes, I would love to do that. They've had great success. That's what kind of, and then we heard his press conference. And then he talked about how he competed to keep his position as the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. Here's the clip from the press conference that I don't think a lot of people heard because it was in the question portion after the written statement portion, in which he was emotional and fantastic, as Pete Carroll always is. This question, though, caught all of our attention.
We went into the decision to step back, or I guess agree to step back and not be the coach anymore. Why did you agree to do that?
Well, I competed pretty hard to be the coach. Just so you know,
What made you want to step?
I just wanted to make sure that I stood up for all of our coaches and the players and the things that we had accomplished, and not so that we could be the coach still, but so that we could continue to have a chance to be successful and keep the organization going. That's what I was fighting for. So I in that regard, that was what I was representing in our discussions, and we got to a good part, a good clean spot where it made sense, and I went along with their intentions.
So he explains right there that he competed for the job. That means he went in there, like you explained earlier, laid out his vision for the future, what they could do, how they could change it, and they just didn't agree with that, and then they said, we don't like that, and then they amicably come to a decision to move forward, and he helps with the transition as an advisor, but still potentially is going to be a coach later. What's going on over there, and how do you think Pete Carroll sees it all?
Yeah, so he obviously walked into that meeting with John Schneider and had an agenda, had a plan, and full of enthusiasm. Piss and vinegar, positivity as Pete Carroll is, and said, okay, this is how I see it. And obviously, John Schneider or whoever, ownership down to John Schneider, hey, we need something new, we need a change. Something happened there, and the general manager, John, I'm guessing, I don't know this, is the guy that said, hey, look, we're thinking about, maybe moving on. We want you to stick around. We want you to be an integral. You're amazing. He's telling him all the great things, right, that he did for this organization. 2 Super Bowls, won a Super Bowl, all these wins, all this stuff. We want you around, but we don't want you to be the head coach.
It's wild to think about for Pete Carroll because he's built that brand, AJ. It's almost like Seattle Seahawks is the Pete Carroll brand. Obviously, he was there, Legion of Boom, Russell Wilson. Without Legion of Boom, Russell Wilson leaves still Pete Carroll. And I guess it's one of those situations where they're looking at the glory days of what it was at the beginning of the Pete Carroll run, and they're hoping that will come much sooner again. Well, who's better than Pete Carroll?
Yeah.
Who's better? That's the big question, AJ. Who's better than Bill Belichick? Who's better than Pete Carroll? Who's better than Mike Vrabel?
What?
And I guess they're all just assuming, they can find one of those. And then you look around, it's like not easy to find these guys or girls, I guess, now that there is many opportunities around the NFL. There's not easy to find these coaches that are able to get a culture, sustain a culture, and move a culture, let alone all the X's and O's. It's like you got to find a real leader. Pete Carroll has been that this entire time, and it's like, we'll just move on. Now, he's 72, so this time had to come at some point, but seemingly earlier than Pete Carroll expected, AJ.
Yeah, that's what I want to know, why now? What was, what happened throughout the season, I guess, that made this happen now? But didn't Pete even say in his initial comments, I'm excited for John to kind of have control of this thing, meaning John Schneider, the GM, so he can truly make all the decisions that GMs normally do. Is that what he meant?
Yeah, and if you listen to some of what Schultz said yesterday, Pete Carroll had a lot of say, I think, in how thing goes. So it's like, was there a
didn't they have Pete before they brought in John? I remember that whole hiring process.
So. Yes.
John Schneider came from Green Bay. I was in Green Bay with him. He's the man. He is awesome. So I think they were hand in hand in everything.
So I wonder if they were thinking to themselves, we want to give more power to this guy. Will that be the case if you're still – that's probably a weird handover.
You can't just all of a sudden after 14 seasons say, all right, well, I'm going to step back on the roster management for a little bit. I don't know if that would work.
Were you going to say something there, Chuck, about the power?
Well, he had the title of VP of football ops, too, I think the minute he got there.
Pete?
Head coach and vice president football ops.
So he has final say?
Yes, he had final say over
So Pete got there in 2010. John Schneider also got there in 2010.
Ooh.
But Pete was given power.
To help him be hired. I didn't see it as I'm excited for John. I saw it as Yeah, I'm excited to see how John takes over this team. I mean, think about that, though. He goes from Russell Wilson to Geno Smith, and this was before Geno, I didn't write back, though. Well, they wrote me off, whatever. That was before that happened. So for the fact that Pete Carroll went from their franchise Super Bowl winning quarterback who, I mean, people feel the way he feels, Russell Wilson was unbelievable at many different moments for the Seattle Seahawks, to go from him and then right into a 10-7 playoff season where sure they went and played the 49ers. We're beating the 49ers at halftime actually last year in the playoffs, but still ended up going from playoffs to 9-8. It's just, it feels like they pushed him out and they want a new era.
Yeah, they left him for dead with after they left Russell Wilson, as it is. He makes it to the playoffs, and then this year they're a game away from the playoffs. He still clearly wants to coach. That's why I don't understand why he would just, I mean, I guess if you don't want it to be messy, just accept, like, hey, I'm going to move it. Like, look at his ties in L.A. Like, I would imagine, like, Chargers wouldn't bring in Pete Carroll for a head coaching interview. Like, I don't understand why, if he does still want to coach and he was kind of being competitive about wanting that and wanting to do that, why he would just be like, okay, actually, you're right. I'll just step into this kind of senior advisor role and just be okay with that. Like, that just doesn't make any sense.
Pete Carroll being available to coach right now around the NFL. And then you look at Harbaugh, right?
Yeah.
He's hired an NFL agent. He has a successful record. And then Bill Belichick. He's looking, and then Vrabel.
What?
Not a great time to be a free agent coach right now, I don't think.
Or a guy on
Not
the
with
hot
these
seat,
legends
right?
out
Or
there
a guy,
on the
a guy that finished, 500 or less.
Yeah, or
What, nobody was talking about their team getting fired or them getting fired?
Like, hey, you go home. Hey, party's on, right? We got another year. We're getting contract. Hold on.
Hold the phone.
Bears fans, there are a lot of Bears fans not happy about them keeping Flus and all these guys being available.
It's loud right now for the Chicago Bears.
Could that change? Could that happen, though? Honestly, if someone really wants Bill, could someone fire their coach that's there right now?
So the thing about it is, I wish Zito was here. We miss Zito. Congrats to Zito.
Congrats,
Love you, Zeke.
But like Chicago Bears fans, I understand that they're getting upset potentially about, Eberflus being the guy and everything like that. Towards the end of the season, it felt like his culture finally set in.
Yes.
It
They
felt
played well.
Yeah, it felt like
especially defensively. Since he took over when Allen Williams, got run out of the building, and he took over defensively, they finished it.
Anyways,
I'm sorry.
His culture.
God, we've had enough. That's on me.
Yeah, we have.
That is on me. I went rogue.
His
sorry.
culture, though, seemingly started hitting.
For sure.
And going.
Yeah.
So it's like, for the Bears fans, I assume they're a little bit like, finally, do we go for the Justin Fields?
Yeah, Fields finally is going.
They move on from Getz. It's like, what do we
I
do
think there's
here?
a couple teams. There's probably multiple fan bases around there that feel the same way.
Thank God not the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, by the way, you said we got the next Bill Belichick and Shane Steichen. We should just stop doing any of the next Bill Belichick for anybody. For anybody. That isn't to you. That's just in general.
You're right. You're right. As it was coming out of my mouth, I thought it was a little disrespectful.
I don't know.
As it was coming out of my mouth.
MCDC is the new Bill Belichick.
See,
Boom. There it is.
There it is.
There it is.
Disrespectful.
Yeah.
Not on this thing.
And he can be a different iteration.
Mike Tom was the next Bill Belichick.
Okay, see, listen, here's the deal. What are you saying? What are you talking about?
What's that mean? What do you mean?
How long was he there? 24 years?
Yeah.
Okay, so we got 5 Super Bowls coming in the next
8
years.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so possibly, maybe, with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mason Rudolph, bro.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Mason Rudolph. Have you seen him?
What are you talking
What are you laughing at, Chuck?
Mason Rudolph ended Pete Carroll, Chuck. Don't laugh.
Oh!
Why is everybody being so mean?
I don't like what they're doing to Pete. I don't. It's just not right.
Pete's a
and
good
it's not
guy.
He's like
fair.
Mr. Rogers.
He is.
That's how I view it. He was talking yesterday. I'm like, there he is.
Who's going to chew gum?
The neighborhood coach.
That's what I think he's doing every morning.
Exactly.
And then he showed videos of him running with those Air Maxes and chewing his gum. We're competing today.
No look
And he got the
throws.
basketball hoop in the team meeting. Everybody's buying in. Will Ferrell's coming in out of nowhere.
What?
And then you talk about people, it's like when you get there, the culture's just different. It's just different. That's just what people say. And he appreciated it. He actually shouted out Bobby Wagner multiple times. It was like, Bobby, thank you for reminding us always to have fun. And also, you're the reason why the culture was able to maintain, because you guys bought into some of the stuff that some people probably wouldn't have with me as the coach. Like, I think he was, they call Jim Harbaugh quirky. I think Pete Carroll probably behind the scenes
For sure.
was viewed vastly different than how most coaches is. He was very, here we go every single day. It's like, I would have loved to have been in that building. Go ahead, AJ.
sorry cutting you off there, but credit to him in his presser too, saying, "Oh, I competed. No, I wanted this job." Like some other guys would try to protect their ego, maybe, and act like they were okay moving on, or it's a mutual type thing. But Pete, that's always been his thing. I know they want to compete in every single thing they do, and they have fun while they're doing it. But for Pete to even say that in that presser, I give him credit because some guys wouldn't do that.
Bobby Wagner just texted me. I think we're probably going to have him on at some point today to chit-chat a little bit more about the Pete Carroll culture. We only have 2 minutes. If we're just to call Bobby Wagner right now, that'd be...
Hey, Bob, real quick.
Rude. But the third hour, pretty packed. He said he's watching. Let me...
Pete wants a job, it sounds like.
Yeah,
well, that's,
certainly.
Let's call Bob.
Go to college. Give him a college gig. He's got the juice.
Call Bobo.
Okay. Hey, we're live. We're live. We're live. We're live.
What up?
We're live. Is that all right?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, so we only got like 2 minutes too, but we wanted to get like your words because you were called out by him like numerous times in the press conference. Why did you and Pete Carroll get along so much, and what did he mean to basically your career up there in Seattle, Bobby?
What up, fellas?
What up, Bobby?
I'm glad to be on the show. Nah, Pete, you know, when I left from college to come to the NFL, all I heard was how serious the game was, how, you know, not fun the game was. And so when I got there and I was playing with Pete and he starts the meeting off shooting basketballs and all that stuff, I'm like, man, there's no way this is the real NFL. And his culture and what he meant to everybody and how much he cared about his players. And I mean, I'm pretty sure y'all saw in the press conference, like he really cares about the players and their well-being far beyond football. And I think that was what everybody loved about him.
Well, Bobby, we appreciate the hell out of you, pal. Let's have you on next week.
Appreciate you. Stay less. I'm on.
My man, appreciate you, Bobby. See you. Okay, so everything we thought about Pete Carroll and his relationship with his players was just legitimized by a man that played there for a long time, and Bobby Wagner. Incredible success out there, Pete.